So here's the V8 Triumph, 1962 TR4, now with the Ford 302 and a C4 automatic. Also has the front suspension taken from the same Mustang II as I got the engine and transmission from. When I got this car, originally it had been converted to a Chrysler Slant Six with a push-button automatic, and I took all that out and threw it away and bought the Mustang II and drove it around a little bit and then scrapped it and saved the engine and transmission and front suspension. The frame is cut off approximately at the firewall, and a new frame that I built starts at that point. You can see the Mustang II suspension here, the suspension cross member, and radiator plumbing. Looks like we got a little overflow on the radiator there. Have recently undertaken some additional work here. For example, I added this spin-on oil filter. It used to have a really small spin-on the other side of the engine, right on the block, but now it's a full-size, typical PH8A filter. Also, for a long time had no transmission cooler, and recently took the lines, again the original lines from the Mustang II, which you can see in there somewhere, and ran them up to the radiator as we saw earlier. Also made a new fuel line, and to make a space for the oil filter here I had to reshape this. It used to come further over this way than towards the radiator. Engine's still a 2-barrel, and this particular engine is pretty shot. I mean, it still runs and drives, but someday I'll have to replace the engine. And no, I can't get the spark plugs out. The exhaust, I did not find room under the car for the pipes. I think if it was not an automatic there would have been room, but with the automatic there was no way to get the exhaust to fit under the car, so it's made from scratch, 4 into 2 into 1 on each side. And it's a shame you can't see that plumbing, but it's very much hidden now. Here you can see, for front motor mounts, these steel plates are attached to the head actually, so the engine is hanging by the heads in the front, which rest on top of the square tube frame that I made. The alternator used to be on the other side of the engine, and I moved it to this side to shorten the total package. And down there at the crankshaft you can see the pulley is kind of notched into the suspension cross member. That was about a 4-groove pulley as I recall, and cut it down on the lathe to just 1 pulley. If I'd known at the time, I would have got an early water pump with the suction on the opposite side. The clearance from that belt to the hose is very small, and by changing the water pump I could have put the hose, that intake hose, on this side. I simply didn't know that at the time. So that'll be something I'll go back and change. I don't know when. Steering linkage, I had to create my own from approximately this point. The Triumph steering ends, and then this is a Borgeson column. Goes through the motor mount to a U-joint. It's a 2 U-joint system. It works pretty well, but I'm concerned about the amount I've got cantilevered off of the rack, so I may change that in the future as well, change it to a 3 U-joint system. The brake and clutch master cylinders used to be up here, and I got rid of that and got the pedal box out of a TR6. A TR6 has the master cylinder here, more or less. And I installed the pedal box as far this way as I could for clearance to the engine, and then adapted this Ford master cylinder. Most of the stuff I got off of eBay, including this master cylinder and infinity of other parts that I needed. The ignition computer I flopped over to this spot. As I recall, the wires were long enough on the Mustang, it was way over there, and I just folded the wires over to this side and put the engine computer here. It's the DuraSpark, and I don't remember where the voltage regulator was on the Mustang, but it's here now, and I think the wires had to be extended. I see some splices here that I must have made a long time ago. I kept as much of the Triumph wiring as I could. You can see a fuse box here that's still in operation, and I added a Lucas fuse box, another eBay find there to protect more circuits. The horns are still on the original Triumph wiring, and it looks like my time is about up. I'm getting a signal here from my assistant. It says 47. Is that 47 seconds left? Oh my goodness. Well, I guess I'll cut this off.